Okay, hello and welcome, fair intrepid viewer. I'm your host, as always, the Archivist. I archive it so you don't have to. Well, today is an interesting day, because today I'm going to do a car review, basically, which is an homage to the midnight movie reviews with Brad Jones and company. So it's just me. It's no one over there in the other seat this time. Just me. And today I'm going to be talking about the latest Hobbit movie, Battle of the Five Armies. Now, I saw it a little while ago, and I am a bit of a Lord of the Rings fan, and Hobbit fan, I've seen every movie in theaters since they started out with the Lord of the Rings trilogy way back when. That was like, I don't know, early odds, something or other. And it was good, every movie. I was never disappointed by anything in any of the movies. I remember one of my earliest movies I remember seeing, which I didn't know at the time what it was one of the Hobbit movies, the animated ones way back when in the 80s. And so when I finally realized what it was, it's like, oh, it's that. Oh, okay. And no wonder it never held my attention for more than 5 minutes. It was just this big epic thing. And my viewing was only 30-minute, episodes. So yeah, so when I heard it was in movies and stuff, I thought, okay, go see it, and I liked it. I liked every movie, and this is the last one in the octology, the 6 of them. Basically, it's been 6 of them. There was the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and then this is the Hobbit trilogy, and this is the last one, Battle of the Five Armies, and I don't know everyone's name because it's been like a long time since I've thought about it, so I don't have all the names down or who these characters are exactly. So if I get a name wrong or just call a character by a vague description, I apologize if I offend you. I just don't know all the stuff entirely off the top of my head, but I do like these characters. There is no actor or character I dislike in this film. They're all really good actors. So yeah, where to begin? Well, it picks up right where the other movie just left off, which is Smaug having a round with the dwarves and I think it's Bilbo in this one, because it's the backstory, so it'd be Bilbo. They're a burglar, hired burglar. So after going a few rounds with the dwarves and their hobbit, Smaug escapes to torment the city dwellers that live out in the middle of the lake. Just because. I don't know. Just because. And so that's when the movie picks up, and there doesn't feel like there's any monologuing in this too much, like unnecessary monologuing, where it's like, have to re-explain everything because it's like newcomers to the franchise, have to quickly learn, okay, what just happened and where are we now, sort of a thing. So they do that well. I could see people watching this for the first time saying, okay, I get it, they just battled this thing and now it's attacking the town. Okay, we get that. So yeah, so continuity wise, they explain themselves pretty well, not in epic detail or anything where it's too obvious or anything. No, none of that. There is very good expression of emotion, idealism, and all that stuff fabulous, perfect. So I don't think I need to go into that. There is a so the basically the story goes is that Smaug is destroying the town epically. The bowman kills Smaug, or whatever it's pronounced. So the dragon is dead. The day is saved. Many people are dead, and basically now what? That's a good question. It's like, well, the day is saved, so now what? So the surviving townsmen swim to shore, gather their wits. They have to rally around some sort of leader. Their mayor or whatever is dead. Because Smaug fell on him on the boat he was in, that had like tons of gold and stuff in it. And so they come to the bowman as rally behind him as a leader, and there's this lackey henchman that worked for the ex-leader. He keeps trying to curry favor while being basically an epic douchebag at the same time, which is a very interesting tightrope to walk on. Being like, I'm gonna, praise you, but I'm trying to suck up to you at the same time. To just be a douchebag is very, very difficult. And it's very easy to hate a character. It's like, he just sucks, he just sucks, he just sucks. It's like, yeah, we get that. This guy, he is actually pretty good. He's very entertaining. He's trying to do the right thing while being a selfish bastard at the same time. And it works. It works. Surprisingly. And yes, in the end, he does do good things. People tell him to do stuff, he does it. And when he sees something that will benefit himself... Excuse me. Hey, Dad. Yes, right. That was a phone call from my dad. So where was I? Yes. So this sneaky guy, who tries to do, who is ordered to do the right thing, is trying to find a place in the world. Basically, this slime, is trying to find his place in the world, while still self-serving himself, and also dedicating himself to the group as well, as best he can. We keep thinking of him to turn tail and run, or do something selfish for himself, etc., etc. But every time someone tells him to do something, he kind of reluctantly, but still does it, wholeheartedly. He still dedicates himself to said cause, order that he was sent out to do. Like during the fight, he was sent to defend the family, which he does, until he gets the family to safety, which is what he was ordered to do, get them to such and such place. Then once they got there, it's like, okay, well, there's other people here. It's not like he's really 100% necessary, needed to keep on defending them. And then he comes across this big pile of gold, or whatever. Oh, excuse me. He picks up the coins, and then says, well, that's it for me, I'm out. And then he leaves. Which we knew in the end he would do. But, until then, he was actually doing, stuff, which is nice. So, it's refreshing to see that, And, so the dwarves and the dwarf leader guy, the grandson of the guy who was king under the mountain, who had all that gold that Smaug had claimed as his own for hundreds of years or whatever. That story basically picks up where the grandson's now acting like how the grandfather was, where he's like, oh, the gold, and it's mine, and no one else should have it. I will not part with a single coin, not one single bit. And so that's like a good part of the beginning, is him going nuts, and being all paranoid and greedy and stuff. So he walls up the entrance, and dwarf guys are like following. They really don't question this guy for a good while, not until later on. But for a good while, it's like, isn't anyone going to question this guy like at all? He's acting a bit nutty. Apparently not. That's the only real thing. Kind of like it was like just odd. I would have to watch the movies back to back to really see if that was like too out of place or not. It felt just a little bit out of place, but I would have to see them back to back to really be sure. So this is a lot more serious than the other ones. The other ones were like a bit more comical, like doing that river scene with the barrels and all that. That was all like kidsy, This one is a lot more serious and dark. There is no real comedy. Not real. No comedy. There's some comical moments, but that's just kind of happenstance comedy, not purposely comedy, which is nice. That's one of the better comedies, I think. So everyone's trying to battle because the refugees want to seek shelter in the city next to where the entrance is for the mountain. But then all the bad guys are showing up and say, we kind of need to come inside now. And the grandson, he's all like, no, I don't trust anyone. Gold! And so he said, we'll barge our way in because, well, we need a place to stay that isn't gonna kill us. And then the elves show up because, not for the gold, but because of this strategic location that the mountain holds as, it's a good place to defend from, basically, because it's fortified. And then the dwarves show up because they want to claim it. But they can't really get past the elves and the humans, really, so they're going to have to battle for that. So everyone's going to battle them. So there's a 3-way army right now. And so tensions are mounting. And then the orcs show up. And they come in. They trail through the mountain or something like that. Some sort of giant earthworm from like Dune shows up, bursts out of the mountainside or hillside or whatever, and they all come flooding out. And so the dwarves are saying, fight the orcs, never mind the elves. So they go charge off to take care of the orcs, and the elves are just standing there, and the guys keep questioning him. The son or whatever keeps asking the other leader of the elves, saying, well, what should we do? We should help them, right? And it's like, and at the last possible second, he finally gives the order. He says, okay, yes, help the dwarves. So they come jumping over the dwarves, and they start battling. And reinforcements on various sides keep coming in to keep the battle going. The orcs also invade the town. The grandson, by this time, finally snaps out of it. He's walking along where Smaug had been covered in gold for a brief moment that had chilled because it's on the verge of winter. So it's all this like this big solid surface of gold. So this thing's like the largest gold bar like ever. Basically, what he's walking on is all smooth and stuff. And he's having like these weird visions of his grandfather and how the gold's like swallowing him up. And he's like, I'm not my grandfather. So he keeps backflashing to all these different conversations of stuff he said, and the one thing that keeps popping back again and again and again is the fact that he is not his grandfather. And so he Fauna just throws the crown off his head, and he says, "Okay, I'm like over the obsession now. Let's, he's not being crazy anymore." Excuse me. And so he finally starts doing the right thing, goes into battle with everyone else, and fights and stuff, and finds the main leader orc guy up on some tower thing, blowing some horn. Direct his troops with some sort of giant flag thing. I don't know what that thing is called, but it's to signal his group. And so the elves, little party or whatever, go up there and fight him. And it's a really good fight. I knew going in that some of these people don't make it, because I remember from the animated movies that a good number of them died. And but I didn't know which one, because the names and personalities aren't really present in my mind. And plus, you kind of in the animated movies, you see the battle of the five armies from afar, so you don't really see it up close of what was going on, and then we just see the aftermath afterwards. So this is like a lot more engaging. But then that's it. I can't really tell you too much, because it's like, I don't want to be too spoiler specific. But yeah, some people don't make it, some people do, and they have good fights. It is legitimately a good fight. And of course you kind of know who's gonna, because we know who's gonna be in the next installment. So it's like, yeah, So we know this character, and this character are obviously going to survive. So that's kind of it's a given, So see, here's like I said, the battles are good. I don't know. I don't think there's much else to say. Yeah. So they go in, battles, people die. The orcs are eventually defeated. Bilbo, I think, in this one. What he does basically is he finds the heart of the mountain, which is this big, almost glowing, softball-sized gem thing that the king is searching for. Is his birthright. Oh, and the elves also want this diamond collection that sparkles like the stars. So that's like the one thing they want out of the whole thing. Material wise, other than that, they want it as just a strategic place to defend from. Yeah, so the king wants the heart of the mountain, and apparently this entire time Frodo has it, and he's like the only one really helping maintaining the king's sanity. But the king says he'll like kill anyone who has that damn thing, is keeping it from him. So Frodo goes to the village or whatever, gives them the heart of the mountain as a bargaining chip to make the king turn over his dominion, basically. That didn't go over very well. But yeah, when the king finds out who had given it to them, excuse me, he's all like, throw him over the edge. Everyone's like, what? I told you, throw him over the edge. And they're like, no one's moving at all, and this and that, and which I feel like finally no one's listening. The people are finally just not obeying him, finally. And so that was good right there. I like that moment. And so he but he feels betrayed by everyone, and then that's when he kind of a while later he finally has that moment where it's like he's not his grandfather and comes to that resolution, etc., etc. So anyway, so the war is over. Frodo picks up all his Bilbo picks up his belongings and everything, and then he heads back to the Shire with Gandalf. And Gandalf basically says, I know you have the ring. I don't know how he knew that. He says, I've been keeping a close eye on you since then. It's like, how did he keep a close eye on him? That's not explained. He just says he does do wizard magic. He does, or can. And he says, I'll just let you keep it. In the original animated thing, I don't think he knew that. I don't think. Because he narrates this thing at the end and he says, yeah, he kept it on the mantle above my fireplace. And that's where it stayed all this time until I told you the story, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, wait a minute. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird in that continuity between the differences. It's a little weird. And it's like, okay, so now Gandalf knows Bilbo has the one, not necessarily the one ring, but one of the rings of power. And he just lets to keep it. It's like one of the world's more dangerous artifacts, and you're just letting him keep it. Sure, why not? Because that worked out so well with everyone else. It has a ring of power. So, yeah, Bilbo goes back home and realizes people are raiding / auctioning off his stuff because they think he's dead because he hasn't been seen in months. Because he didn't tell anyone that he was leaving. Not that we saw that he really has too many friends in town too much, per se. Other than family, so it's like, who would he really tell offhand or quickly that he was leaving? So it's kind of understandable. So he gets back and he says, and like nobody recognizes him at all. It's like, it's not like he grew a beard or looked too differently or anything. He still basically looks the same. So I don't know how they're questioning him. It's like, unless this guy's a shut-in, like in that movie The Net, I'm not entirely sure how that's supposed to work. Entirely. It's like, how do you have like no friends? Like nobody knows you? Like by sight? Really? You live in the Shire, yet nobody knows that it's you. It's kind of like a weird, the movie The Net kind of a moment where it's like, really? Really? You nobody knows you personally. That's just, I'm living on my own and people know me by face. I have no idea how that works in this context, really, in either movie. But apparently, I guess it's set up for what was about to happen next, where he says, do you have any documents, anything with your name on it that says that you're, Bilbo? And he says, oh, yes, here. And he pulls out the contract, the long contract. And he pulls it out and says, right there, Bilbo Baggins. Well, then I guess I have to return everything. And he says, but who are you in contract with? Who is this, the grandson, King of Under the Mountain? He says, he was a friend. And then he walks inside into his empty house. And starts setting about cleaning it up and getting everything ready to live in again. And then it flashes forward to Bilbo right when Gandalf comes to his door and says, for his birthday, was it birthday / going away party or something like that, we see inside the house when he knocks on the door and says, can I come in? And he says, I don't want anyone coming or whatever, go away. And he says, not even for an old friend. He says, oh, Gandalf, and he walks over and he invites him in, and then the movie pans down to a map of his travels, and then it goes into end credits, and that was it. And so yeah, it ties together well. The continuity's pretty good. I just haven't refreshed my memory of anything from the last movie or from the animated movies themselves, so it's been a long time between stuff, so it's not fresh in my brain. So things feel a little bit out a little bit on some stuff, but that's normal. No big, nothing feels like cinematically wise, out of place or too much of anything. Characters are played well, everyone's good. Oh, and I found out something funny, because between the last movie and this movie, I've gotten into watching Sherlock, on the BBC, and the guy that plays Watson is the guy that plays Bilbo in this. So it's like young Bilbo. And it's like, oh, it's that guy. Hey, I know him. Oh, I didn't realize that at the time when I was watching Sherlock. But then when I saw, after I've seen the series of Sherlock, and then when I saw the movie, it's like, hey, it's that guy. I know that guy. So yeah, so that was cute. That was it was good to see, And that's it, really. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good bookend. It ties back into the beginning, and that's it. I recommend it as a good date movie, as a good action movie, as a good drama movie. Surprisingly enough, it is a good drama. It has good drama in it. That's compelling. That is nice. We have characters go through shit that we can somewhat sympathize at times, and just want to see where these characters were going, what they go through, even if we don't identify with it really, on whatever levels or whatever. But we get entertained watching them go through all this and see them come out through the other side, And I highly recommend it, and hopefully Brad Jones gets to do a midnight review on this soon, and I'll hopefully be able to watch it. Yeah, so that's everything on The Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies. So that's it. So in closing, I am the archivist, and I archive it so you don't have to. Alright, take care, and if you like these type of reviews in this locale, please subscribe to at the bottom, and don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Anyway, see ya.